Parker, you are such a Boy Scout. When are you going to give a guy a break?
Welcome to Watch Mojo. And today we're counting down our picks for formerly hated movies that are slowly getting more positive reactions.
Why do I get the feeling you're going to be the death of me?
Number 10, Miami Vice.
Why do I get the feeling everybody knows we're here 15 blocks out?
Because everybody knows we're here 15 blocks out.
Michael Mann went back to his roots when he adapted a film version of his popular 80s crime show, Miami Vice, updating the sleek and sexy aesthetic of the mid-thousands. Using the digital photography Mann was becoming known for, the film version polarized critics and didn't fare much better at the box office.
Things go wrong, the odds catch up. Probability is like gravity.
While many described it as style over substance and overly somber at the time, in the decade and a half that followed, a new generation of critics and moviegoers began to look at it through a different lens. Not having grown up with the original, and in an age where digital has become standard, they were able to look at it on its own merits, praising the cinematography and brooding tone.
Why is this happening to me?
Because you lead a life of crime.
Can't do time, don't mess with crime.
Number 9, Marie Antoinette. When Sofia Coppola's historical drama about the infamous French queen premiered at the Cannes Film Festival, it divided viewers, with some even booing the film. Many felt that it was nothing more than some pretty costume porn and a shallow and inaccurate biopic. Indeed, the movie's portrayal of Marie is more like a modern American teen than an accurate portrayal of her life in France in the 1700s.
Don't they ever get tired of these ridiculous stories?
While the anachronistic music and even a shot of a pair of Converse shoes drew ire from many historians, many have come to realize over time that that was exactly the point. While seen as a step down at the time, Marie Antoinette is now viewed by many as an essential piece of Coppola's filmography.
You are not what was desired, but you are no less dear to me.
Number 8, Jennifer's Body.
Jennifer's evil.
I know.
No, I mean, she's actually evil. Not high school evil.
Initially marketed as a sexy thriller aimed at teen boys, heavily promoting kissing scenes between Amanda Seyfried and Megan Fox, Jennifer's Body was met with negative reviews and lackluster box office results. Writer Diablo Cody took issue with the studio's marketing strategy, feeling that it was missing the intended demographic, young women.
You were never a good friend. Even when we were little, you used to steal my toys and pour lemonade on my bed.
And now I'm eating your boyfriend. See? At least I'm consistent.
Over the years, the intended audience eventually came to discover the film and identify with its themes, particularly in regard to women's bodies and autonomy in the wake of the hashtag #MeToo movement. Today, the film is regarded by many as a feminist horror masterpiece and a seminal bisexual text.
What do you want from me?
I just want to explain some things to you. Besides, best friends don't keep secrets, right?
Number 7, Speed Racer.
Racing's in our blood. But for Pops, it isn't just a sport. It's way more important than that. It's like a religion.
Following the success of the Matrix trilogy, the Wachowskis had a blank check. They chose to direct a film adaptation of the classic anime Speed Racer. They delivered one of the boldest, most colorful, and earnest films of the century. But upon release, it was torn apart, losing millions and receiving overwhelmingly negative reviews.
You think you can drive a car and change the world? It doesn't work like that.
Maybe not. But it's the only thing I know how to do, and I gotta do something.
While their next project fared somewhat better critically, the equally ambitious follow-up Cloud Atlas was also a box office bomb. However, both films developed a small yet loyal following online, with people beginning to sing their praises. Today, both have been reappraised, with Speed Racer, in particular, being hailed in critical pieces, questioning if we got it wrong upon release.
He's going to be very good.
No, he's going to be the best. If they don't destroy him first.
Number 6, Alien 3. A sequel to two of the most beloved and popular sci-fi films of all time, there were a lot of expectations heaped onto the third Alien film from the start.
You've been in my life so long, I can't remember anything else.
A legendarily troubled production that dragged on for years, with multiple scripts written and thrown out. Filming began before the final script was even complete. Studio meddling left the film with plots that went nowhere and an inconsistent tone, and led first-time director David Fincher to disown the movie.
What makes you think they're gonna care about a bunch of lifers who found God at the ass end of space? You really think they're gonna let you interfere with their plans for this thing?
Years later, however, a cut of the film was released intended to be closer to Fincher's version. The assembly cut has been praised by many for being the version we should have seen in 1992.
That could be reworked, but I'll never be top of the line again.
Number 5. Man of Steel. Attempting to copy the success of their rival Marvel, DC kicked off their cinematic universe with a film centered around their most famous character, Superman.
What's the S stand for?
It's not an S.
The film from Zack Snyder drew its fair share of complaints, including a third act that destroyed much of Metropolis and the infamous scene where Pa Kent lets himself be sucked into a tornado. But now, after the DCEU's slow, inevitable death and the travesty that was Joss Whedon's Justice League, Man of Steel looks pretty good by comparison.
They will join you in the sun, Cal. In time, you will help them accomplish wonders.
And while people are certainly excited for the next iteration of Superman, Henry Cavill excelled in the role. Knowing that this was Cavill's only solo Superman film, we can't help but embrace Man of Steel in retrospect.
Welcome to the planet.
Glad to be here, Lois.
Number 4. The Village. M. Night Shyamalan has had quite the journey in Hollywood, going from The Golden Child to filmmaking pariah to a bit of a self-financed indie darling.
How is it you are brave when all the rest of us shake in our boots?
I don't know, worry about what will happen. Only what needs to be done.
The Village came out right as he was transitioning from that first part of his career to the second. His reputation, which had been unimpeachable after the success of The Sixth Sense, was beginning a downward spiral.
What a deeply scandalous thing to say. I insist you take that back.
The Village began a streak of 5 films that critics and audiences hated, with many saying he had become overly reliant on twist endings. However, recently, he began betting on himself, self-financing his projects, and rehabilitating his image as a writer-director.
They will see I am pure of intention and not afraid. The end.
Upon re-examination, The Village might have more in common with Unbreakable than The Last Airbender. Number 3. SpiderMan III. Sam Raimi returned to direct a third film in the Spider-Man trilogy after astounding audiences with the first 2 entries.
Who is it that breaks your fall, puts out the flames, and saves your children?
They love me.
Spider-Man 3 was immediately a huge success at the box office, but reactions to the film, particularly online, were decidedly more negative. Fans pointed to the overstuffed plot and miscasting of Venom as major drawbacks, citing studio interference. Raimi would ultimately drop out of a planned 4th film, leading to a reboot.
I can't do this. It's over.
No. Please. Please don't say that. I know I've been selfish, but I can do better. I can change.
Not that simple.
Those films, in many ways, felt the studio interference and overstuffed nature even more strongly. With the benefit of hindsight, some began to re-examine Raimi's third Spidey film. Although its problems still existed, other elements, like the tragic story of the Sandman and its bittersweet ending, began to receive overdue acclaim.
Whatever comes our way, whatever battle we have raging inside us, we always have a choice. My friend Harry taught me that. He chose to be the best of himself.
Number 2. Twilight. The film adaptation of the best-selling book aimed primarily at teen girls was also aimed predictably at teen girls. That target audience loved the adaptation, filled with gloomy Washington state skies and just as gloomy characters.
How old are you?
17.
How long have you been 17?
A while.
Those outside of that demographic weren't as enthusiastic, often befuddled or downright dismissive of the film and why anyone would enjoy it. Today, even some of the film's biggest detractors have realized it just wasn't for them.
This is incredible. It's so light and open, you know?
What did you expect? Coffins and dungeons and moats?
Twilight may not have appealed to critics' tastes, but it did exactly what it set out to do with its campy performances, cheesy dialogue, and sparkling vampires. Even well over a decade after its release, it appeals to new generations of its core demographic of young women.
I don't have the strength to stay away from you anymore.
Then don't.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1. The Star Wars Prequel Trilogy. After waiting for decades, those that had grown up with the original trilogy of Star Wars would finally get a chance to see a new film in their favorite franchise.
Are you sure about this? Trusting our fate to a boy we hardly know? The Queen will not approve.
Queen doesn't need to know.
Hype was so huge that people bought tickets to meet Joe Black just to watch the trailer for The Phantom Menace. However, they weren't happy with the final product, and cries that George Lucas had killed their childhood were frequent.
You turned her against me! You have done that yourself!
The second and third films faced the same backlash. While the adults decried Jar Jar Binks and the like, for a generation of children, this was their introduction to Star Wars. Those children are now adults, holding the same nostalgia for those movies as their parents did for the originals.
Truly wonderful the mind of a child is.
Which movie that you used to hate has grown on you? Let us know in the comments below.
You're not gonna let this go, are you?
No.
Well, then I hope you enjoy disappointment.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.